Yeah, all good. All good. Yeah, I was going for a nice, peaceful walk this evening, and I was reflecting on how I learnt many years ago from working in the football environment how important it is to advocate for yourself. Because generally, no one's going to do it for you. And in the appropriate and applicable circumstances, I suppose an example could be if you're a footballer and you're on the bench and you're not sure why, and you let the frustration build up, and you don't say anything, and you get frustrated, and you might decide, well, actually, I'm going to sort of knock on the manager's door and ask him and have a chat, and you can make a case in point that any manager worth their salt is more than happy to sort of, come through and have a chat, and certainly managers I've worked for in the game would happily, when I reflect back and think about many managers I've worked for, would happily speak to a player and give an explanation. And it might not make things any easier, but at least just sort of clear, and you know what you've got to do, and you know what their interpretation is. But I think for me, I sort of realize that the same applies in life and in business. Absolutely. You in business for sure, because not everyone's going to have your best intentions. Not everyone's going to be a fair person. And I'm not here to give any advice, or I don't have all the answers or make any suggestions. And I know it's not always easy. It can appear to be confrontational in certain circumstances. It might not be applicable, because it could cause confrontation that may cause other problems. But the point being, yeah, like even in business, for example, you agree to do a job and you get shortchanged, and advocating for yourself and saying, okay, well, can we talk about this? Or even something simple in life where you book your car in for some work and they give you an estimate, and it becomes a lot more than what the estimate is, and it might be for good reason. But I suppose there's nothing wrong in the appropriate circumstances. Okay, well, can you sort of explain this to me, type thing? Because otherwise, if you don't learn to advocate yourself, based on my experience anecdotally, you just get pushed around. People just walk all over you, and you become more frustrated, more bitter, more resentful. And, it's not good getting taken advantage of. You see it even in sort of personal relationships where people they put up with a lot from the other person. They put up for a lot, and then they never mention it because they're scared the other person might leave or whatever, really. Or it could, maybe they are scared it could lead to, confrontation. I don't know. And like I said, there's no two situations the same, and it's not my place to say what people should and shouldn't do. But I certainly, anecdotally, from my own experience, and I learned this predominantly from working in the sporting environment, particularly football, that learning to advocate was for yourself and being assertive in the appropriate circumstances is really important, because all that generally happens, if you're not, is nobody else is going to come along and speak up for you generally speaking, if you don't draw the line somewhere. And for the most part, I would say, in my experience, it's got positive connotation, because at least you know where you stand. Sometimes it's that fear of knowing where you stand as well. You think, okay, well, I'll sort of bury my head in the sand, metaphorically speaking, rather than sort of speak to the other person or people to know where you stand. So, yeah, I think, having a level of assertiveness and building the confidence to advocate yourself is a really important skill.